Good evening, everybody. I think since I'm the last speaker, I think you people would be tired and would like me to finish as fast as possible. Well, take it from me. I will not bore you people. Okay, I will make it as brief as possible and as interesting as possible. I think many of my previous speakers spoke about industry for, education 4.0 and other things. I will not get into all these things. I will get into the brass facts. What are the challenges of COVID-19? And I would tell you whether it's a boon or a bane. See, because last week I was delivering some talks to our students of second year and third year engineering. Okay, now let me tell you just briefly about Acharya Institutes. We have 15 different colleges. Okay, and we have engineering management, all these things. I'll not get into it. Okay, and I take care of the training, collaboration, and a lot of other things I take care of. Okay, now let me tell you first of all, see, education basically is uh, definitely a passport to prosperity. Why, why is my this saying? Sadhana, can I close the side this thing? Because
So I
it's
can see
blocking
your
my.
presentation.
No,
You can
I
minimize
want.
that, sir. You can minimize
Yeah.
that window.
Okay, that window I want to minimize it. Okay, done, done, done.
But again, we can properly view your screen. No problem with that.
Okay, okay. I think if I minimize, it's coming on the right or left. Um, okay. I okay. I'm trying to minimize it. Okay, fine. Well, students, let me tell you, I have been a speaker at various national conferences, and I will not bore you. I will make it as interesting as possible. See, first of all, let me tell you, education is the passport to opportunity and prosperity. I have said that previously also in one of the Study Metro MP conferences at Indore. Now, what happens is the more knowledge one has, the more empowered one is. And basically, education is a nation's strength. And a developed nation is inevitably an educated nation. And now, because of COVID 19, there are various challenges that the education is facing. Okay, let me try to move the screen. I think it's causing some problem. I'm not able to move the screen, Sadhna.
So, which screen are you talking about? The presentation or the
My
side,
presentation,
right hand side?
even that I want to
Okay, so
close.
you need
And
to. So you have this arrow keys right on your keyboard. You can press that arrow key, the right hand side one. Maybe the up down key. Maybe that helps. The arrow key on your laptop, this keyboard,
yeah,
sir.
it's not moving, I think. I'm using
Okay.
the arrow keys, but it's not moving.
Okay. So you can just minimize that, sir, the slideshow, and then you can take one slide at a time.
Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's
Now,
coming, sir.
yeah. Now, see, what has happened is during the second week of March, the state government brought the complete country to a shutdown in which colleges were closed, all these things. And this was a crucial time for education, examinations, admissions, all these things, and a lot of other things that were supposed to happen during the time. Okay. And now what happens is everybody was put off foot. Okay. They did not know exactly what is to be done because now we have about 285 million young learners in India. Okay, and this had a very far reaching, not only on the education, but also on the economic and societal consequences. Okay, and now before I come to the thing, now see, what I will say is students asked me last week, is COVID-19 a boon or a bane? Let me get to this. Let me tell you, basically, what has happened is we are, as students, we are used to sticking and clinging onto the zones of comfort. Wherever we find comfortable, I think we are used to sticking onto the zones of comfort. COVID-19 has posed various challenges, and it is telling you to come out of the zones of comfort, face the challenges, because once you pass out of your colleges also and get into the jobs, you are not going to be sticking to the zones of comfort. You're not going to be clinging to the zones of comfort. You will be facing various challenges. Definitely, this pandemic is an enabler. It is posing various challenges. Okay, and let me tell you, the faculty who used to come to the classes and you people used to attend, call out all the names one by one. Okay, that was a routine type of thing, and use the chalk and dust. Let me tell you, I have been giving talks on new pedagogy, and I have been telling the faculty, okay, this is an age old practice which needs to be undone. We need to get into a new pedagogy. What do you mean by pedagogy? Pedagogy is basically learning and what do you call teaching and learning. Okay, we have to adapt to a new pedagogy. Okay, now let me tell you, students, what happens is you people have been accustomed to this type of pedagogy, and now this is posing a challenge to you. Okay, now what is happening is, now for it is a challenge not only to the students, it is a challenge to the teachers also. The challenges to the teachers, let me tell you, I will come to this. Okay, now what happens is, now what is the solution? Digital technology in education. Now higher education leaders see this as a challenge. Okay, and see the pandemic as an opportunity to reshape how we teach and learn. Now, only when pedagogy and technology are thought about in an integrated way, technology can make a dramatic difference in improving learning outcomes. Okay, so digital technology has come to the fore. The technology thread is going through everything. Whether you want or not, you are forced to do it. And let me tell you, this is definitely a boon. Why? I will come to this. I think the screen is taking a long time to change.
No problem, sir.
Why is it taking so much time? Okay, now what has happened is some of the challenges that COVID-19 is posing are like this. Let me tell you some of the challenges that COVID-19 is posing. Can we facilitate? How can we facilitate interactive? See, because what happens is online, if a faculty has to deliver a talk, he has to keep the attention of the students. Some students might be just putting the thing on and showing their attendance and going to sleep. So he should involve the students, make the complete lecture interactive. Okay, and then uh, how do we carry out online assessments without risking cheating and plagiarism? Let me tell you, in US, plagiarism is a very serious offense, and in India we take it very lightly. Okay, I don't want to give you the thing, a lot of instances that our students have faced in plagiarism. Okay, now also there is a great opportunity to reinvent new models of experiential learning and powerful campus experiences for students. Now what happens is, uh, earlier the teachers used to just come dictate the notes and go back. Now many of you would have seen the teacher, see, because what happens is information is available with a click of a mouse. A lot of information is available. I think you students have much more information than any teacher can give you. Okay, but I think what the teacher's role is now, the teacher has become a facilitator, and learning has become student centric. It is no more teacher centric, it is student centric. Okay, and let me tell you, now the teacher has to focus on how to keep the students engaged, how to make this class interactive. And let me tell you, as per a study given by one of the US universities, it is mentioned then that when a lecture is being what do you call delivered, the outcome of the lecture is that it is equivalent to students sleeping and trying to hear something. Then how does learning happen? First thing is that nowadays you see teachers putting their notes onto their website, putting some videos onto the website, okay, putting various material onto the website, putting some homework on the thing website, putting some assignments on the website. So what is happening is students flip through those complete things. They flip through the videos, they flip through the notes, they go through the complete thing, they come to the class prepared. And what happens in the class? Okay, when the online class happens, it is more of an interactive session, it is more of a discussion. Okay, and the students have gone through all those things. Okay, and the next thing is that what happens is, now how knowledge is supposed to be formed. Okay, how knowledge evolves is problems are given in the class, and based on the problem, students start preparing, coming out with knowledge. This is called as PBL, or project based learning, or problem based learning. Okay, both the terminologies are okay. So what happens is you start building knowledge. It is also called as constructivism. You are constructing knowledge. And also there is what is called as collaborative knowledge, where a team is made. You all sit together, you all work together and build knowledge around it. That is called as collaborative knowledge. So what happens is here, yes, let me change the slide. Okay, now let me tell you, see, the students are the customers of the industry, and it is the industry that defines the learning outcomes. Not 100%. I think when I was giving a talk in indoor, some of the VCs, they said, is it 100%? I said no. To the maximum extent, learning outcomes are decided by the industry, because eventually, okay, the students, what they will do, they have to work in the industry. Okay, so now what are the skills? Now see, some of the students asked me, sir, do we need to learn the technology of all the industries? And people speak about skill gap. I will say that is nonsense. Don't bother about skill gap. There is no skill gap. You are not diploma students. Okay, diploma students are those who talk about skill gap. Engineering students need not bother about the skill gap at all, because engineering students, see, what happens is you cannot cater to the technology of all the industries. Engineering students, what you are supposed to know is that you need to have, first thing is problem solving and decision making skills. This is what the industry is looking at. Second thing the industry is looking at is creative and critical thinking. This is where deep learning comes about. Okay, the deep learning comes about because of creative and critical thinking. Next thing is intellectual curiosity and ability to find, select, structure, and evaluate information. Information is available. Tons of information is available. Okay, your task is that you need to have the intellectual curiosity and ability to find, select, structure, and evaluate that information. And thinking in different ways. What do we mean by thinking in different ways? Thinking out of the box. Next thing is collaboration, communication, and negotiation. Okay, now let me tell you, in the 17th century, a group of scholars from Europe and America came together to facilitate the dissemination of ideas. This is known as Republic of Letters. Okay, please note down. You might be wondering what is this. I don't want to go deep into this because my time is limited. This is known as the Republic of Letters. I can speak as and as on Republic of Letters. So the group worked for a long time, and then their main thing was to stimulate critical thinking in all areas of learning. Understand? This is the Republic of Letters. It was a group that came from Europe and the Americas. They came together and they wanted to stimulate critical thinking in all areas of learning. I hope you're able to follow. Now, what is the new pedagogy? Okay, see, what happened is the teachers had to forcibly come out of the chalk and dust. They had to evolve new means of pedagogy, okay, new methods of pedagogy, new means of teaching, new means of learning. And students also, who were accustomed to taking down notes, now they are put to different type of this thing, okay, where they build their own knowledge, they construct their own knowledge, they collaborate and build knowledge, they go through a lot of material before they come to class. So basically different types of things are there in learning. I don't want to go see, the new pedagogy is basically blended learning, which could be part of online learning and which could be part of physical one-to-one learning. Okay, deep learning based on critical human inquiry, flipped learning like I spoke about, collaborative learning. Now see, wikis and blogs. Now what happens is many of the professors, see, this particular pedagogy is followed. It's not my pedagogy. It is a pedagogy followed in most of the universities in the foreign countries, leading universities, wikis and blogs. You know what the professors do? Okay, they put all their notes, videos, all the learning material. Okay, and in the blocks, what the students do is they post their questions, their problem, and professors not only from their university, professors from all over the world start contributing to those particular blogs and start giving their ideas, sharing their ideas. So what you are doing, you are creating ideas, you are constructing ideas, you are constructing knowledge, and constructing knowledge with a lot of perspective. Okay, so this is also called as constructivism. Now, last thing I want to tell you is that, dear students, remember, don't worry about electronics engineering or IS engineering or mechanical engineering or this engineering. I want core this thing, I want core that thing. Don't bother about all these things, because eventually everything is interdisciplinary. Okay, and let me tell you, if an electronics person makes a robot, okay, how will he make it work? How will it work without coding? You make a drone, how is it going to fly, and how are you going to control it without any coding? Okay, you make uh, something else, a lot of projects. See, a lot of students are doing projects under me, along with foreign universities. We do a lot of projects, traffic management, this thing, mechatronics students, mechanical students. See, when you talk about this industry 4.0 for mechanical engineers, see, in fact, I'm a speaker on industry 4.0. Let me tell you, mechanical engineering, the industry, the standard is industry 4.0. It uses IoT, yeah, Internet of Things, it uses IOS, Internet of Services, and it uses cyber physical systems. Okay, so it makes what do you call prediction of a thing that is going to fail, and also it carries out predictive maintenance. A lot of things are there. So, my dear students, what I want to tell you is that the complete world, it is interdisciplinary. When you go to a foreign university, you will see that everything is interdisciplinary. You might be from electronics, you might be tying up with something else, and you might be doing something. Okay, so everything is interdisciplinary. Don't bother about core branches. Okay, now let me come to the second last slide. Okay, now see, what happens is the core elements supporting disrupted classes. What are the core elements? From the okay, one thing is reliable communication and infrastructure. Second is suitable digital learning resources, friendly learning tools. See, because the learning tools, it should not be difficult for the students to use. Usability is very, very important. Usability from the student's perspective, usability from the faculty's perspective, usability is very, very important. Okay, effective learning methods, instructional organizations, effective support, services for teachers and learners, and close cooperation. Okay, these are some of the things that we need to, which are required for disrupted classes. Now, so let me tell you, uh, uh, before I close, that definitely COVID-19 is a pandemic that has disrupted the way education happens, that has disrupted pedagogy, that has disrupted where learning, the way learning, teaching and learning happens, and definitely it is a boon. 100%, let me tell you, take it from me, it is a boon. Only thing is, as far as the students are concerned, you are going to have that the faculty has a repertoire of skills, okay, which they need to use, and you can utilize all the skills. And only thing for you is it is a challenge. But let me tell you, challenges are very, very important. You need to come out of your zones of comfort, and you need to face these challenges. You need to face these challenges very boldly and with a positive attitude. Let me tell you. So, three things I'm saying. One is, I think, coming out of your zones of comfort, being very positive, and facing challenges. I think these are the three main challenges of COVID-19. And I think, I'm sure once you people start facing these things and adapting to these things, definitely you will come out much more matured. You'll come out much more better professionals than without this disruption.